This is the Accutron Spaceview, a watch that doesn't just tell time. It tells a story of innovation, space exploration, and design unlike anything else in horology. Today, we're going to explore why this watch was decades ahead of its time and why it is still fascinating collectors more than 60 years later. Bulova changed everything in the 1960s when it launched the Accutron. Instead of a balance wheel, it uses a tiny tuning fork vibrating at 360 times per second, or in the case of the Accutron, 360 hertz. This allowed for the result of a smooth, sweeping seconds hand and accuracy within 1 minute per month. Listening to the Accutron, you would hear a subtle hum of the watch itself. You don't get a ticking like a traditional watch. That is because of the tuning fork inside vibrating at 360 hertz. Some say it was ahead of its time, but others say it was perfect for the space race.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roger, have a liftoff and the clock is operating.
The accuracy of the Accutron itself caught the attention of NASA and the US military. Accutron mechanisms were used in over 40 different space missions, including Apollo. They were actually used in instrument panels, timing devices, and navigational systems. In fact, did you know that the Accutron was actually the first wristwatch certified by the US astronauts before the Omega Speedmaster even came into play? The interesting part is that the Spaceview was never supposed to exist. Originally, Bulova only made these open dial watches as display pieces so jewelers could show off the high-tech tuning fork movement inside. But the demand for the Spaceview outgrew the supply, and the demand was so strong that jewelers were actually taking out dials from watches that already had dials inside them to fulfill their needs. Later, Bulova themselves officially released a Spaceview as a production model, and that is one of the reasons why it looks so futuristic. The insides are exposed, all electronics, coils, and the iconic green circuit board is almost sci-fi looking, and it fit especially with the time with going up to the moon. The Spaceview was ahead of its time in terms of design. It broke a whole bunch of rules when it comes to watchmaking, and instead of hiding the technology of how the watch works, it showed it off. And even when you look at today's modern skeletonized watches, it's something that people look forward to. A lot of reproduction pieces are being placed into these cases, and it is not 100% a Spaceview. You have to be very wary about who you're buying the watch from, just to make sure that the watch comes 100% as if it came from Bulova. There are many people actually doing what jewelers used to do back in the day, taking off dials of watches that already have the 214 movement inside and putting reproduction parts like the crystal or even the hands. These watches, although look absolutely amazing, are not true Spaceview watches, and is something for you as a consumer to be wary of. True Spaceview watches range from anywhere around to $700 to even $2,000, while the replicas range around the $300 to $500 range. But one thing's for sure, make sure the watch runs. It is very difficult to fix these type of watches, and if you do find someone who can, typically it outweighs the cost of the watch itself. Not only did you see NASA using the watch itself, but actually Paul Newman before he received his Rolex Daytona. Paul Newman can be seen wearing the Spaceview before he got introduced to the Rolex Daytona by his wife. In 2020, Bulova revised the Accutron name with a new Spaceview 2020. Instead of a tuning fork, it uses an electrostatic movement with turbines that generate power as you move your wrist. It's not the same as the original, but it carries the spirit and innovation that defined the Spaceview back in the day. The Spaceview has paved the way for so many different types of watches, and maybe you should own one yourself. If you enjoyed this dive into the Accutron Spaceview, give this video a like, subscribe, and maybe wait for some more videos of mine. I'll definitely see you guys later.